Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, let us discuss under multiple choice questions about OSI model in networking. All those questions are important for all upcoming exams. Those questions have important concepts about each layer role as well as the protocol and its function on each layer and the networking device on each layer. So let's see each question one by one. Don't forget to subscribe this channel and share to your friends. Let's see each question. The first question says, which layer does the process of segments occur? Which layer does the process of segmentation occurs? A, in application layer, B, transport layer, D, data link layer, C, data link layer, D, networking layer. Segmentation occurs in the transport layer. The transport layer performs segmentation, the segmentation of data, reliable delivery because of there is TCP protocol and the flow control, as well as there is also error detection and a correction on the transport layer in OSI model. Question number 2. Which OSI model layer is responsible for routing? Which OSI model is responsible for the purpose of routing? Physical, application, transport, network layer. In the network layer, there is the responsible for routing due to the router device. Question number 3. In OSI stands for A, Open System Interconnection, B, Operating System Interface, C, Optical Service Implementation, D, Open Service Internet. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. The answer is A. Question number 4. The number of layers in OSI model refers is 7. As you know, in the OSI model, there are 7 layers, 7 networking layers. Start from physical layer to the application layer. Question number 5. Which layer is called port layer in OSI model? Session, application, presentation, transport. Transport layer is often referred to as the port layer because it is responsible for end-to-end communication and managing port number for the network application. So D is the correct answer. Question number 6. Which level is the network layer in the OSI model? Third level, fourth level, second level, fifth level. Third level layer in the OSI model is the network layer. Question number 7. Which layer of the OSI model is responsible for data encryption? For the purpose of data encryption. Application, presentation, session, transport. Presentation layer or layer 6 in the OSI model handles data encryption, data compression, data translation, and or formatting. Thus, tasks are done by what's in the presentation layer on in the layer 6. Question number 8. Which layer of the OSI model is closest to the user? Which layer is closest to the user? The application layer is the topmost layer and the one close to the user, which is the layer 7, interacting directly with software applications. 9. Which layer of the OSI model? Which layer of the OSI model is responsible for end-to-end communication and reliability? Transport layer, that's responsible for end-to-end communication and reliability because there is TCP protocol. There is reliability due to this. Question 10. Which protocol operates as the transport layer of the OSI model? IP, TCP, Ethernet, HTTP. On the transport layer, TCP is the layer for a protocol, while IP in the network layer, Ethernet, data link layer protocol, as well as HTTP is the application layer protocols. 11. What type of addressing is used as the data link layer. Types of addressing. The type of addressing in the data link layer is MAC address. The data link layer uses MAC address, which physical or hardware address of the device that burned in the network interface called. But the others are IP address, the network layer, port number, the transport layer, the logical address, also referred to as the IP address or layer 3 addressing technique. 12. What does the presentation layer primarily handles? The presentation layer handles data encryption and compression. The presentation layer or layer 6 is responsible for data encryption, compression, translation or formatting, which means syntax processing done on the data on the presentation layer, which is in the layer 6 in the OSI model. 13. Network layer protocol exists: host, switch, packet, bridge. The network layer protocol exists. The host network layer protocols are, or which is in the device and also involved in the routing packet between those hosts. 14. Which OSI layer establishes, manage, and terminate connections? Which OSI model layer establish, manage, and terminate connections? The session layer in the OSI model is responsible for establishing, managing, terminating connections between the applications. So, C is the correct answer. 15. The network layer responds to requests from which layer? The network layer responds to requests from which layer? From the transport layer. The network layer responds to requests from the transport layer and handles the routing of data packet across the network. 16. Data in network layer is transferred in the form of layer, packet, bytes, bits. Data in the network layer, which is packet, or in the layer 3, the data unit is called the packets. The correct answer is B. 17. The OSI model was developed by which organization? OSI model is developed by ISO, which is International Organization for Standardization, to establish network communication. But the others are IEEE stands for hardware networking, like Ethernet and Wi-Fi. ITU -T telecommunication standards, W3C web standards, like HTML, CSS, and the other. 18. The blank layer uses data compression to reduce the number of bits to be transmitted. The presentation layer is responsible for data compression. Among the other functions, to reduce the amount of transmitted over the network, the number of transmitted data on the network, there is compression performed on the layer, on the presentation layers in the OSI model. 19. What does OSI stands for? Open System Interconnection, Open Standard Interface, Operational System Integration, Open Software Integration. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. Question number 20. What type of addressing is used at the network layer? Physical addressing, logical addressing, port numbers, URLs. The type of addressing in the network layer is the logical addressing technique, which is IP address. 21. Which OSI layer is responsible for data formatting? Application, network, presentation, transport. Presentation is presentation layer in the OSI model that is responsible for data formatting. 22. Which layer can be impacted by network congestion? Application, data link, physical, transport. Transport layer impacted by network congestion. 23. The function of the application layer is to provide network service to end-to-end user and end-to-user application, manage data transmission errors, control network congestion. The answer is A, provide network service to end-user applications. 24. Data formatting at the presentation layer ensures compatibility between which two entities? Data formatting at the presentation layer ensures compatibility between which two entities? Sender and receiver protocol, network switch and router, user and application, hardware components. The correct answer is A. Data formatting at the presentation layer is responsible for ensuring the data, whether the data is sent from the sender, is interpreted correctly by the receiver, thus allows compatibility between the protocol and used by both entities. 25. If program need to convert a text file into formats that can be sent over a network, which layer is involved? Session, transport, presentation, data link. The presentation layer is for translating and formatting data, which includes converting text file into formats suitable for transmission over that network in the OSI model. So, presentation layer is involved. 26. What technology operates as the data link layer of the OSI model? IP, Ethernet, TCP, HTTP. In the data link layer, Ethernet is a technology that operates as a data link layer of the OSI model, which facilitates the encapsulation of data into frames for transmission over all the local area networks on that connection. 27. What is the main service provided by the transport layer? Reliable communication, data formatting, data encryption, routing. In the transport layer, reliable communication is the main service to provide reliable communication between devices, ensuring that data delivered accurately and in the correct orders. But data formatting, it is a presentation layer service, data encryption as well as the presentation layer, but the data routing is the network layer service. So A is the correct answer. Question number 28. Which layer is responsible for selecting the best path for data transmission? Data link, network layer, transport layer, session layer. The layer responsible for selecting the best path for the data transmission is the network layer, because there is in the network layer there is router routes the best path by IP address. Question number 29. Which layer can be impacted by hardware issue? Application, presentation, physical, data link. The layer which is impacted by hardware issue is the physical layer. 13. Which protocol operates as the application layer? The protocol that operates on the application layer is simple mail transfer protocol that used for sending emails over the network. 31. Which of the following is not layer of the OSI model? Application, presentation, Ethernet, network. Internet is the OSI model consists of 7 layers: the application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and a physical layer. Internet is not one of them. It is the more closely associated with TCP/IP models. 32. Which type of protocol operates as the data link layer? IP, TCP, address resolution protocol, HTTP. The protocol which operates at the data link layer is address resolution protocol, helping to map IP address to MAC address on the local network. 33. What is the primary purpose of the physical layer? The purpose of physical layer is data transmission over the medium, which is B. The primary purpose of this layer is to facilitate the transmission of raw bits over the physical medium, including hardware connection and signaling that used for communications about the signals, the bits and signals. 34. Which OSI layer is responsible for flow controls? Application, session, transport, network. The OSI layer which have the responsible for flow control is the transport layer, which is the layer 4 that is responsible for flow control that allows data transmitted at rates that match the receiving device capacity to process it, that by preventing the data loses, it ensures data transmitted at the rate on the match of the receiving device. 35. What type of data does the transport layer handles? Bit, frame, segment, packet. The transport layer handles segments. Data in the form of segment, which is used to provide reliable communication and data integrity between the devices in this layer. 36. Which of the following protocol is used for web browsing? FTP, HTTP, SNMP, Telnet. HTTP, which stands for hypertext transfer protocol, is that used for browsing the web browsing that helps the transfer of web page and other content over the internet. 37. At which OSI layer does data encapsulation occurs? Data encapsulation occurs in the transport layer, where data is segmented and encapsulated into transport protocol like TCP or UDP before being sent to the network layers, to the lower layer. 38. Which OSI layer would you normally configure your firewall rules? Network, application, data link, physical. The network layer is the correct answer. Firewall rules are typically configured on this layer where they can control traffic based on the IP address, protocols, and ports. So, A is the correct answer. 39. What are the two main protocols at the transport layer? TCP and IP, TCP and UDP, HTTP and file transfer protocol, address resolution protocol, and ARP. TCP and UDP are the two main protocols at the transport layers. The TCP for the reliable communication, but the UDP is unreliable communication. The TCP transmission control protocol, the UDP stands for user datagram protocols, are the two protocols in the transport layer. Which device operates primarily at the network layer? Switch, router, hub, repeater. Router operates on the network layer that directing data packet between different networks based on their IP address of the devices. 41. Which OSI layer controls the link between the network and the host? The data link layer controls the link between the network and the host, which facilitates communication over the physical medium and managing the protocol access to the physical networks. 42. Which OSI layer is responsible for managing the quality of service? Transport layer is responsible for managing the quality of services that helps to ensure reliable data delivery and providing a mechanism for the flow control, error recovery, congestion management as well. So C is the correct answer. 43. What does switch use to make forwarding decision? IP address, IP routing tables, MAC address, port numbers. MAC address. A switch uses MAC address to make forwarding decision, directing data frames to the appropriate port based on the destination MAC address. So switch, which is the data link layer device. 44. What is used to establish conjunction as a session layer? Negotiation, synchronization, token passing, none. Synchronization. The session layer uses synchronization that is to establish, maintain, and determine connection between applications. Ensure that the data streams are properly managed during sessions. 45. At which OSI layer do email get transmitted? The presentation, application, transport, and session. The application layer emails are transmitted at the application layer where protocols like simple mail transfer protocol and internet message access protocol operates on those layers. The answer is B. 46. Which layer perform data compression? Transport, application, presentation, data link. The presentation layer responsible for data compression as well as data format, translation, and encryption, and that used to ensure the data is properly formatted for the application layer. 47. What does FTP stands for, and which layer does it operate? FTP stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol, which operates at the application layer and used for transferring files without the overhead of more complex protocols. 48. Which layer is responsible for data integrity? The transport layer is responsible for data integrity through the mechanisms like error detection and corrections that guaranteeing the data is delivered accurately and in order to on that device, on the destinations. 49. Which layer allows multiple applications to use the same TCP/IP connection? Transport, application, session, presentation. Transport layer that allows multiple applications to use the same type of TCP connection through the use of port numbers to distinguish between different data streams. 50. What layer would handle corrupted frames? Data link layer handles the corrupted frame. 51. Which OSI layer defines protocol used for file transfer? Application layer. Application layer defines protocol used for file transfer, such as file transfer protocols and trivial file transfer protocols. 52. Which layer requires socket for communication? At which OSI layer would you implement firewall and filtering device? Application, transport, network, data link. The network layer. Firewalls and filtering device operates primarily at the network layer of the OSI model. They manage traffic based on IP address and routing protocols. 54. Which of the following layer does the IEEE 802.3 standards partition? The data link. B is the correct answer. 55. What type of protocol can be found at the data link layer? On the data link layer, framing protocols are found that 56. Which of the following is used for network diagnostic? Internet control message protocol is commonly used for network diagnostic, such as tools like ping and traceroute technique. 57. At which layer does data get segmented into smaller packets? The transport layer. At the transport layer, data is segmented into smaller packets to ensure reliable transmission and to manage data flow effectively. 58. Which layer would you use for controlling device access? Application, network, data link, session. The data link is the correct answer. The data link layer is responsible for controlling device access to the physical medium that manages how data frames are placed on and traveled from the medium. 59. What type of addressing does the transport layer uses? IP addressing, MAC address, port number, frame address. The transport layer uses the port number addressing technique, which the port numbers that facilitate communication between applications on different devices. 60. In TCP/IP, which layer corresponds to the OSI network layer? Application layer, transport layer, internet layer, that's a link layer. In TCP/IP, the internet layer corresponds to the OSI network layer. 61. Which OSI layer defines the protocol used for sending data over a local area network? Internet, physical, transport, data link. The data link layer responsible for sending data over the local area networks. 62. Which of the following defines protocol syntax? Presentation layer, transport layer, application layer, network layer. The presentation layer. The presentation layer is which is responsible for defining protocol syntax, including data format, encryption, and compression techniques. 33. What does IP address resolution refers to? IP address resolution refers to converting IP address to the MAC address, which the IP address resolution, the mapping over the converting the IP address to its corresponding MAC address, that using the address resolution protocols. There is an address resolution protocol. 63. Sorry, there is one double question. What is the primary purpose of the OSI model? Provide protocol for data transfer, standardize network communication, ensure data integrity, facilitate hardware operations. The purpose of OSI model: standardize network communication. 64. What is one of the main goals of the network layer? Segmentation, formatting, routing, security. The goal of the network layer is routing, because in the network layer there is a router, the device that involves determining the best path for the packets to travel through the network from the source to the destination. It uses IP address. 65. Which OSI layer is used for inter-process communication? Session, data link, transport, application. The OSI layer which used for inter-process communication is the session layer that establishes, managing, and terminating sessions which are used for inter-process communication between the applications. 66. What is the primary function of routers? Signal registration, data formatting, packet forwarding, frame switching. The function of routers in the network layer is packet forwarding to the destination by the IP address. 7. Which of the following device operates at the physical layer? Switch, bridge, repeater, router. The device that operates on the physical layer is the repeater. The repeater operates at the physical layer as it regenerates and amplifies signals to extend the transmission distance in the network. 68. What type of communication does the application layer primarily facilitates? The type of communication the application layer facilitates user interaction with software applications. Provide service directly to the end user application. 69. At which OSI layer does dynamic host configuration protocol operates? Or DHCP. DHCP operates on the application layer. 70. What layer is concerned with the transmission of raw bit streams? The layer which focuses on or responsible with the transmission of raw bit stream is the physical layer. 71. What does the acronym TCP/IP stands for? TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, and IP stands Internet Protocol. 72. At which OSI layer would you find the protocol POP3? POP3 found in the application layer, which is POP3 stands for Post Office Protocol 3 operates at the application layer of the OSI model. 73. In the process layer on the sending machine communication with layer N on the receiving machine. In blank process, layer N on the sending machine communicates with layer N on the receiving machine. An interface to interface, peer-to-peer, layer-to-layer, machine-to-machine. There is option A, B, C, and D. In the peer-to-peer, layers N on the sending machine communicate with layer N on the receiving machine. 74. The OSI model defines layers 1, 2, and 3 as the blank layers: physical support, the network support, the user support, transport support. In the OSI model, the layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 define as the network support layers. Network support layers P. Layer 1, physical layer, which is deal with the physical connection and transmission of the raw data. The layer 2, data link layer, provides node-to-node data transfer and error detection. The layer 3, the network layer, handles routing and forwarding of data packets across the network. 75. The OSI model defines layers 5, 6, and 7 as a blank layers: physical support, network support, user support, transport. C is the correct answer. The OSI model defines layer 5, 6, and 7 as the user support layers. Layer 5 is session layer that manages session between the application, while layer 6 presentation layer handles data formatting, encryption, and compression. The layer 7, which is the application layer, provides network service directly to the user application. 76. Directory services are handled by blank layer in the OSI model: session, presentation, application, data. The application layer. 76. The application, presentation, and session layers in the OSI model corresponds to blank in the TCP/IP protocol suites: application, session, data link, transport. The application. As we know, in the OSI model layer and the TCP/IP protocol suite layers, the layer 7, layer 6, layer 5, which is application presentation and sessions, are correspond to the application layers. 77. TCP uses process called blank to manage data flow and prevent congestions, flooding, widowing, broadcasting, routing. TCP uses widowing process called widowing to manage data flow and prevent congestions. 78. In which of the following scenario would you most likely choose UDP over the TCP? In what scenario we can select UDP rather than TCP? In the file transfer, in the video streaming, email transmission, web page loading. The correct answer is video streaming, which is UDP or user datagram protocol. The UDP standards often that used for chosen for video streaming because of it allows for lower latency. There is a lower delay, which means they not requiring the overhead of connection establishment and error recovery that TCP provides. So for video streaming, UDPs prefer than the TCP. 79. What is one major limitation of UDP compared to TCP? The limitation of UDP compared to TCP is unreliable delivery. Unreliable delivery on the major limitation. UDP does not guarantee reliable delivery of packets, meaning packets may be lost, duplicated, or received out of orders. So these are not checked on the UDP. 18. Which device can operate at both the data link and the network layer? Have bridge repeater modem. Have operated both the data link layer and the network layer. Each one, which protocol in the transport layer is used for low latency communication and does not guarantee delivery? TCP, FTP, UDP, SCTP. UDP is the correct answer. 82. Which protocol operates as the session layer to manage dialogue between the applications? TCP, NetBIOS, UDP, IP. B. The NetBIOS operates as the session layer on the layer 5 and is responsible for managing dialogue between the application, including establishing, maintaining, terminating, as well as communication on the communication sessions. 83. Which of the following is commonly used for error detection in wireless communication? TCP, UDP, forward error correction, ICMP. Forward error correction is widely used for wireless communication to detect and correct errors without need that retransmission. Question number 84. What does the TCP protocol use for ensuring data integrity? Checksum, hashing, encryption, framing. Checksum is the correct answer. 85. In which scenario would error detection be most crucial? In streaming audio, in file transfer, video conferencing, real-time gaming. The error detection be most crucial in the file transfer. Sorry. Question number 86. Which of the following protocol is used for error detection at the data link layer? TCP, Address Resolution Protocol, CRC, Internet Control Message Protocol. C is the correct answer. 87. Which OSI layer does the HTTP protocol operates in? Transport layer, data link layer, application layer, network layer. It is in application layer. 88. Which term refers to the unique identification of device on the network at the network layer? B. IP address is the unique identification of devices on the network or layer 3 in the OSI model. 89. What is the significance of the three-way handshake in networking? Three-way handshake. B. It establishes reliable connection in TCP. The significance of three-way handshake in networking that used for establishes a reliable connection in TCP between the client and the server, that establish reliable communication between the client and the servers. Question number 19. What is the function of bridge in the OSI model? The function of bridge: connect different networks, divide collision domains, route packets, convert protocols. The function of bridge in the OSI model is divide collision domains. 91. What type of device is used to connect devices within the same network segments? Router, repeater, switch, bridge. Switch. 92. A device that operates at the OSI model transport layer is known as router, bridge, gateway, hub. A device that operates at the OSI model, the transport layer is the gateway that can operate multiple layers of the OSI model, which including the transport layer because it performs protocol conversion and complex network communication functions. 93. What kind of device consolidates multiple network segments into one network? Consolidate indicates combining. A. Switch, bridge, router, hub. Bridge that consolidates multiple network segments into one network. 94. What is the common role of gateway in the networking? The role of gateway: route data packets, translate different protocol, filter network traffic, manage sessions. The role of gateway is translate different protocols. The gateway is different layer protocol device. 95. Which device connects to dissimilar network and operate at the multiple layers? C. The device which connect to two dissimilar network. The one concept that there is which operate in multiple layers. Gateway to connect dissimilar networks as well as can operate multiple OSI layers, often up to the application layer, from the physical to the application layer. 96. What type of device is mainly used in wireless network? Hub, wireless access point, repeater, bridge. The device that's mainly used in wireless network is wireless access points. 97. At which OSI layer does a modem operates? Data link layer, network layer, physical layer, transport layer. The modem operates in the physical layer. 98. Which device can connect two or more LANs that operate on different protocol? Gateway. 99. What device is used to attach different type of networks such as LANs and WANs, local area networks, and wide area networks? Router, hub, switch, bridge. The correct answer is router, the device that attach different type of networks like local area network and wide area network, which is the network layer device. The last question: which device is commonly used in local area network to reduce the number of collisions? The device that used in local area network that used to reduce number of collisions is the switch. Thank you. This is the last question. Don't forget to subscribe and write which question is that may confuse to you on the comment section. Thank you. Bye bye.